All right, gang, who is tapped in? Because we are tapping back in. My dog just gave me this toy, so she's ready to play. And so are you, because what we have uncovered, if you saw my last Meg is Musing video, we have uncovered that the reason for our resistance is because we are resisting the intensity of our voice, the truth in our voice. And this voice is so deeply connected to you physically and your body. So for me personally, I'm a vocalist. And so that's something that hold on. So as a vocalist, my instrument is somatic. Naturally, my instrument is myself. And that's just a natural thing for me. That has always been well, actually I did dance before singing, but these are both very physical, creative mediums. Now, I studied multimedia journalism, and so a lot of what I think of when I think of creativity nowadays involves technology. But the earliest piece of technology is the body. And the body is a piece of technology when you think about the collective unconscious. So I'm going to pull, just so you know, all of these cards here were from the last reading, and I'm going to start by kind of just talking about it. But this hangman, I'm going to leave this here. This will be clarifying in case any of that is significant. But so the body's a piece of technology. The body contains wisdom. You're asking yourself, where is this resistance coming from? And you're feeling the resistance in the body, but you're trying to solve the resistance in the mind. What you're not recognizing is that your mind and your body already are connected as an instrument. You already have the ability to connect the two as an instrument. And when we think about the mind, you have the personal psyche, and you also have the collective unconscious. This is the part of the mind that taps us in to the entire human species. The technologies that we have access to now are able to mirror this in the same way that a company might go through a digital transformation in trying to go from personal file cabinets to putting these files into a collective drive, into the cloud. I really think that the collective unconscious in our minds, in the Jungian sense, is the same thing as adapting to the cloud, putting our thoughts to the cloud. If you are listening to this, you have been tapped into the cloud mentally your entire life. And so this is not new for you. You are here to be a bridge in some way, shape, or form. And the thing that you're resisting. So for this video, I want to talk about how do we get over the resistance. And first of all, you have to know that the answers are already contained in your body, because like I said, your body's technology already is connected to that bridge between the mind and the body. I'm just riffing off the cuff here. It's either going to resonate or it's not. And these are just the words that are coming to me whenever I ease the mind and I allow it. It's the same way as singing is whenever I know the right note and I let it flow, that's whenever I'm on tune. If you're trying to force each note, that is when you put pressure on your vocal cords and you end up being out of tune. I'm an alto 1 in a symphony chorus. If you are having to sustain a note over and over, you have to think of each note as a continuation and as it has its own integrity. If you allow yourself to slip the note is going to go flat. So I find it interesting that I pulled the hangman card from this, I wanted to call it Empress deck. I don't even know if it is an Empress deck. I forget what it's called, but in my mind, it's my Empress deck because it's what I tap into whenever I'm trying to tap into the Empress energy. This is just my classic Rider. Oh, whoa, I just got hangman again. Okay, 2 hangmen. Okay, I think I'm just supposed to keep talking, and the cards are just there for decoration. I bring up the singing metaphor because for me personally, I know how that feels to connect to my instrument in a natural way. I paused this earlier to open the window because my body felt stuffy. So what I'm trying to get at here is that your body already contains the answers, and that your body wants to move in a way. Oh, my dog just came up here. My body wants to move in a way. Hold on. So you were born as a digital native, already plugged in. Your body already remembers this understanding of the mind-body connection, and at a deep somatic level and also a soul level, the possibility of the World Wide Web. You probably are neurodivergent. You probably have ADHD like me. And what I was just thinking of is that when I first started singing and I was in a children's choir, I would fidget a lot and I would move around to the music while I was singing in order to keep the beat. And it was something that was I was told to stop fidgeting on stage, that kind of thing. Right now I'm fidgeting a lot while making this. And I've found in general that whenever I try and force myself to sit still, it really suppresses my voice and it really constrains my thinking. I have been unemployed / underemployed for a full year now, and it has been quite the trip. And there has been a lot of back and forth of forcing myself to sit down and stare at a screen, forcing myself to sit down and write. But what I'm finding that actually works is, so with reading and writing, it's like give myself permission to have books everywhere, and I don't have to finish one before I move on to the next. I have notebooks everywhere. I don't have to sit down and force myself to journal for a full hour. Instead, I allow myself to have journals everywhere so that whenever I have thoughts, I'm able to capture them. So it's a matter of being ready to capture, being ready to receive, and trusting that your voice and that your body knows what to do. Because the resistance in your voice comes from when you try and constrain, and when you don't allow yourself to percolate and disperse. I'm thinking about the diffusion of innovation and how innovation happens when you are plugged in or tapped in to an interconnected network. And you are looking for innovation in your life because you have these obstacles that are in your way. And the old ways of going about obstacles by attacking them one by one in a linear format are not working for you. You instead need to allow innovation to diffuse through you. And in order to do that, you need to be open. And I mentioned improv comedy in my last Meg is musing message, because that's what we're doing. This isn't, if you want to say this is spiritual guidance, you could take it as that, but I'll just tell you, I have a lot of resistance to the idea of that. Partially because for me, I am a huge proponent of listening to your own voice, and that's kind of what this message is about. Sometimes we have to listen to other people's voices in order to attune ourselves to our own. And this is something I've been doing with the internet ever since I had access to a laptop. Like being on like Tumblr my senior year of high school when it started to get a little bit popular, and like when I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my career, and I'm just like cultivating quotes on like Pinterest and Tumblr, trying to start to map out that dream for myself. And then I remember being really active on YouTube right after college. And it was like, I felt like, so I went to journalism school. So a lot of my friends kind of scattered all across the country, getting whatever journalism job they could, you know, like people were working in like random small town Wyoming, or people go to New York or LA or Chicago. I was used to having long distance friends, and I was, you know, trying to figure out my adult life. I'm, for whatever reason, thinking back to being like 22. The way I would cope, well, really 23, if you're into astrology at all, 23, when you're 23, that's your 12th house year in astrology. I could go more into that or answer that question if you want to know, but you know the song when it's like nobody likes you when you're 23? Like a lot of times when you're 23, you are in this cocoon phase. And I was in this phase, and to get to the point, like I would, if I didn't see the people around me that made me feel like I belonged, I would go on YouTube and I would kind of cultivate based on my interests, based on what I wanted to see in the world. And I would recognize those that I thought I really could see myself in, or that really inspired me. And I would go out of my way to, rather than try and force myself to fit into spaces or with people that didn't feel like it resonated with me, I would scratch that itch by being chronically online and by trying to tap in to the broader conversation that I want to be a part of. And the more I do that, the easier it is to feel like I could add to the conversation, because if I have a grasp of the conversation, it's easier to know, like if I have a curiosity and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that, I wonder what people think, it's easier to just throw yourself in the ring with less pressure. So there's something significant about you being naturally fidgety and about you needing to trust that right now, because you are holding so much tension in your body, and that is the thing that's causing resistance. And so as we are trying to unpack, how do we get over this resistance that we're feeling? Part of it is, as I was saying in the last video. So let's see, we've got two hanged man here. This is what's guiding this flow for me today. This card from the Sacred Symbols deck, Veiled, there is this mask. So it's an unmasking process. It's a death of your old self. You're getting this motivation. You're feeling this fire, this life force energy, that we live in a state of society in capitalism where a lot of this fire, this life force has been tapped out of us because the game is rigged, especially for neurodivergent people. There's been this disconnect from our inner flame because we have had to mask. Times are changing, and so there's this spiritual cleansing process that's happening where we overcome resistance. Hold on. I'm getting so many messages at once right now, and so that's also part of the point, is you have to trust that the people who are for you are people who can also tap into multiple messages at once. And trying to force the intensity of your voice into something super linear is going to repress that energy, because again, mental energy and somatic energy are the same. And so there's something significant about feeling fidgety and allowing yourself to do that, because when you hold tension in your body, that stems from a mindset that is trying to take the complexity of your mind and trying to make it palatable. And whenever you compress the complexity of your mind and attempt to make it fit into a box, that's when you end up distorting your signal and you can't find the right people who are looking for you. I'm going to do another part.